still surviving my 80s. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about what I found out about what I've been taking as the antibiotic. I read about it in a book called Herbal Antibiotics by Stephen Herod Booner, and he's also wrote one on viruses and on Lyme's disease and maybe some others. But I would say it's a very good book, and I'm glad I have it. And when I decided that I should be taking probably an antibiotic and I didn't want to take the pharmaceutical, I had purchased this for just those times when we might need them. And so I've had it a while, and I'm not going to say it right. I tried to look up how it might be said, to pronounce the word this way. It's cryptolepis. It's well, I'll put it in the description below. And there are different species of it, and the one you want, or if you were interested in the antibiotic one that really works the best, the species is sanguinlenta, something like that. I'll try to write the whole thing in there, so the name of it and the species. And in this book, he sort of explains about the different herbs that you can use for antibiotics. Herbs, most of them have a little bit of antibiotic properties to them, but not enough really to do a fantastic job like a few of them do. And he mentions at the start the ones that aren't on the list, that didn't make it, and that's garlic, olive leaf, and echinacea, that lots of times people really trust to do those things. He said they're all good, but they're not quite as good as these others are. And the four, maybe there's five top, and these are called systemic. That means they'll go through your whole body and help wherever the problem is. And the top one, and that's the one I picked to buy, was that cryptolepis. And then there's one, and I'm probably all going to say their names a little bit wrong. Sida, S-I-D-A, Alcornia, Bidens, and Artemisia. And I picked this one, the crypto, because it had the least, well, some of them, all of them don't take if you're pregnant, but some of them, like Bidens, if I could find that, interact or have some sort of a little bit of a side effect. Bidens, maybe I can find what I mean. Okay, on Bidens, people that are on diabetic medications, and they shouldn't take that medicine. Well, this one doesn't have any contradictions, or whatever you call it. That's not quite the word either. But so I really, this is the one I chose to use, and I take it at least twice a day. I should take it 4 times, but it said you could, it still is effective if I forget to take it. And I've already taken it 2 times today. I'm sure I'll get my 3 and 4 times in yet. So also, then the book, these 5 that I mentioned are the systemic antibiotics. Then there's herbs that are just localized. They don't go through the whole body. Maybe they're just for the skin, or maybe they're just for some organ like the lungs, or maybe they're for healing wounds. And those 4 are the berberines, like golden seal, bayberry, anyway, those type. and then juniper, honey, and euthanasia. I thought it was interesting on honey. Honey, they say, is the top wound healer that we have. It is the best wound healer. People with ulcerated sores and wounds, honey will heal those better than what we have in our antibiotics. And the first antibiotics I can remember taking, well, the first one was not penicillin. The first one was the sulfa drug. I think somehow it reached us first, but I can remember it was still when doctors came to visit and did house calls. And I had a very sore throat. I was very sick, running a fever, and the doctor came, and of course no test to say this was true or not true, but he felt like I had scarlet fever, and so he treated me as such, and I got the brand new sulfur drug, and it did work. I got well in just a few days, and it did help me. But the next time I had to have one of these super drugs, I was in my 20s, and they gave me a penicillin, and I promptly broke out with a bad rash and got my arms swole up, and it didn't go well. So from then on, it was one penicillin antibiotic drug after another that I just was allergic to this one, allergic to that one. And then on the ulcers, I told you I had ulcers at one time. Well, 95% of all ulcers are really caused by H. pylori, and almost 95 people over 50 or 55 have H. pylori that they carry around with them. And so to get rid of that, they treat it with antibiotics. And so they found out I had H. pylori. I was in my 50, 60, long in there. And the antibiotic didn't get rid of it. So they said, you must have taken it wrong. We'll do it again. Well, I knew I'd taken it the way they said, but I took it again. It took me years to get my system back into track. I had diarrhea. I had, all of a sudden, I was milk intolerant for years. In fact, I couldn't eat yogurt even. And so the antibiotics, oh, and then I would bleed. They were not a good option for me. And I can even remember I had this prescription, went to the druggist, he looked at it and said, you can't take this, I'll call the doctor. And I've always had a soft spot now for the druggist, that he really knows maybe more that's going on than we give him credit for. And he saved me from that antibiotic. So anyway, I just want to say this is a really good thing I know that I'm doing for myself. And I would suggest you get the book. If you're inclined, if you have any kind of trouble with the pharmaceutical antibiotics, I'd say get it, read it. There's a lot in it. I've read it twice now. Well, actually, probably I haven't read all of it twice now. I'm still reading it and trying to digest it. But I do recommend it. I am feeling better. I know I'm not there yet. And one other thing I want to say, our black ocelot did lay an egg today. So we have a New Hampshire laying, we have a black ocelot laying, and she was typical, a little egg. The New Hamp started out with a large egg, and it had 2 yolks. And oh, they were bright yolks. A lot of clover. They'd been in the clover. So with that, I'm going to let you go. And Thank you for coming, and I appreciate the thumbs up you give me and for subscribing. I'm waiting for that next subscriber to make 175. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.